and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Goose County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. Let's see if I can get me on the full screen there. I know it's horrible for your screens to have to tolerate my ugly face. I have a face for radio, and unfortunately, I'm not there anymore. I'm live probably in your living room or wherever else you can get me live streaming. That's the advantage of live streaming. You can do it anywhere. Yeah, that's a good thing. We're going to be talking about the petitions, all the petitions that are happening here in Oregon. There's a couple of them. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are out. They're ready for signatures. We're going to be going over a few of them. I've got 3 of them. I've got the toll petition. I've got the end vote by mail petition. And I also have the no tolls petition. Or no, not that. I already said no tolls. The recall Governor Tina Kotek. And I know that more than likely we're not going to be able to recall Tina Kotek. It's just damn near impossible the way the system is rigged here in Oregon, but that's okay. We're still going to try. Let me see something here. There we go. That's a little better. So we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying to get those signatures. We do have a damn good chance to get end vote by mail and the no tolls petition on the ballot. From there, it's up to the voters, and I want them to have the decision to be able to make on whether we should be voting by mail, whether we, the taxpayers, or more or less the voters, because they're the ones who'll decide, whether the voters should decide whether we should put tolls on our roads or not. I'm one of those. I think we already pay for our roads. We don't need any more tolls. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. We're going to be talking about some of the events going on, and I'll tell you where you can get those signatures here in Coos County. I've been dealing with a lot of local politics lately, and I've been wanting to go back to talking about some of the things that has been happening on the federal level, because there's a lot of good stuff that has happened, and it's happened in the last couple of weeks. I've been really busy, like I said, on local stuff, getting petition signatures. We had that fair thing happening. But it's interesting what's happening in the White House right now. I was reading this article. I actually haven't even seen the videos on this, but I was reading this article. It was quite interesting. This is Trump rips sleaze bag Charlemagne the God after his brash claims about Epstein and the GOP on the Laura Trump show. And it had to do something with Charlemagne talking about MAGA. Let me see if I can share that here. I think this would be easier if I just went ahead and shared the screen here. Yeah, let's share that. Boop. There we go. So right there, as you can see, the New York Post has this article out. It talks about Trump ripping into this sleazebag Charlemagne. I don't know if you've had the chance to see the video on this. Let's stop that before it starts playing. But it says right here, and I'm glad the Post is getting this news out. It says the President Trump unleashed on Charlemagne the God, calling him a sleazebag and a low IQ individual after the Talks radio star went on the Laura Trump Fox News show to saying he believed the Epstein scandal could end MAGA's hold on the Republican Party. Now, I don't know about you. I don't normally take my political advice from Charlemagne the God. The fact that someone has the audacity to call themselves the God. Yeah, I'm not going to be someone who's jumping into whatever he's talking about for our political views and the outcome of the Republican Party, especially. I don't think he has a good, clear reading of the Republican Party or the average registered Republican. I don't know. I think that anyone at the Coos County Fair that I went to a couple weeks ago would have a better register on the voting public, especially Republicans out there, than Charlemagne the God. He's appearing on My View, that's the Laura Trump show, with the president's daughter-in-law. He did this last Saturday. The real name, Leonard Larry McKelvey. Oh, no wonder he changed it. No wonder he changed it. Claimed that traditional conservatives were about to take over the GOP again. And no, if you're talking about traditional conservatives, MAGA is the traditional conservatives. What we were overthrowing in the party are the dirtbag conservative Republicans who weren't conservatives, the Liz Cheney people, the Mitt Romneys of the party needed to go. They needed to be cleaned out. And that's what MAGA was doing. So see, he doesn't even define the players in the party even very well. So this Charlemagne the God, I guess they should call him Charlatan the God. Yes, Charlatan the God. What audacity for him to call himself the God. But it really cracked me up when he was actually talking about how much this was going to hurt the party. And I thought that's the last thing this is going to do. People are pissed off about it. I know I was a little pissed off about it when I saw Trump on the stage saying, "No, I don't know why everyone's all upset about these Trump files. There's nothing there. Don't look behind the curtain." And I know it's bullshit. I know you probably believe it's a bunch of bullshit. And I was curious myself, what is the status of the only person alive who really knows the whole story or the most story? And that is Ghislaine Maxwell. And she was in the news. Let's see if I got another one here. So I just out of curiosity's sake, I thought, what the hell? Why don't I look up and see what the latest is on this lady? Because, if Charlemagne the God is thinking, oh, the Epstein files, it's going to destroy the Republican Party and the real conservative base of the Republican Party, the Mitt Romneys, the Liz Cheneys of the party, they're going to come back and take us over. I just don't see that happening. But I wanted to find out what is the latest on this Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine, doesn't that sound like a place where you would put a whorehouse? If you had a whorehouse, you would put that on Ghislaine, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. The latest updates on the Epstein case, and this is for August, and this just came from AI. I just happened to be on Google, and I asked the question because I wanted to look up the different new headlines, the latest headlines on this case. And the AI program, I'm not even sure what that is for Google, answered the question. I thought, well, what the hell? Let's go ahead and use it. So here's Ghislaine Maxwell transfer. Maxwell, Epstein's associate, has been moved from a federal prison in Florida to a lower security prison camp in Bryan, Texas, according to CBS News and NPR. Who's listening to NPR anymore? That already tells you that this AI isn't, they're getting news from NPR. Well, that's only a month late. But this transfer follows a meeting between Maxwell and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche regarding the Epstein investigation. Victims of Epstein's abuse have expressed outrage and disgust at the move, calling it preferential treatment and a failure of the justice system, which is weird. How can if there's nothing there, Mr. President, then why are there victims of Epstein's abuse and why are they outraged? Why would they be outraged? nothing was happening. I don't know. I find it very strange, but I continue. House subpoena and Maxwell's appeal. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed Maxwell for testimony related to the Epstein case, but she will only comply with immunity or clemency. According to Newsweek, her legal team is appealing her conviction to the Supreme Court. The House GOP is considering postponing the deposition until the Supreme Court reviews her appeal. And okay, all right. So that's where we are with her. She's trying to get an appeal to the Supreme Court, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to continue with what's been happening with Epstein's property, because I was kind of curious. Where's all the videotape? Where is all the stuff from the house? And I didn't even know what's been happening with the house, but it says the Epstein Island transformation, Epstein's private island, Little St. James, is currently being transformed into a luxury resort by billionaire investor Stephen Dekoff, according to TMZ. The resort, featuring a 25-room hotel, is expected to open by 2025. The sale proceeds, along with an additional $105 million, are intended to fund support services for victims of sexual abuse and human trafficking in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Well, isn't that a good thing to do with such a horrible place? And so that's really cool. I don't know who this Stephen Dekoff is, but I'm glad that he's out there promoting that there is human trafficking going on, that this is happening. This is happening in many neighborhoods that you wouldn't think it's happening in. As someone who's come from really bad neighborhoods in my lifetime, I can assure you that human trafficking is very real. There are a lot of victims to this. And I'm glad to see that they're changing or transforming the Epstein Island into something good from something that was obviously very bad. Epstein records and conspiracy theories. Oh, it gets interesting. Remember, this is what I got off of Google when I asked them the AI question. And it says the Justice Department and the FBI recently released a memo concluding that there is no evidence of a client list or blackmail by Epstein, and reiterated that he died of suicide. Yeah, right. This contradicts some conspiracy theories that have circulated about the case. Some critics, including former Attorney General Pam Bondi, have expressed doubts about the memo's findings, according to NPR. And once again, I don't know why we're taking any information from NPR. But whatever. So I love how they always talk about these conspiracy theories. Sure, it's a conspiracy theory until we find out that it's true. But I can assure you there is some form of documentation where they can build a clients list, and whether or not the blackmail can be proved, sometimes those blackmails, that can be something as easy as as a simple message that doesn't really relay anything other than to the person who sends it and the person who receives it. There could be a lot of blackmail information right in front of your eyes and you don't know it. Because if someone, say like that guy, who was it, that Prince Andrew guy? Yeah, he goes to Epstein Island. He's banging underage girls. He gets in trouble for it, which he did. And you don't think at some point, if someone needed a favor and knew that, wouldn't call up Prince Andrew and say, hey, Andrew, remember that time you were at Epstein's Island? And yeah, the next thing you know, you're getting a check in the mail. So I'm not sure that the fact that there's no evidence of blackmail is really that big of a thing. But the client list, I can guarantee you there is a client list that can be built from the documentation that they have. It's just, for some reason, they're not doing it. And like I said, we came up with like a half a dozen different reasons why they really are not releasing these Epstein files. And the president has done a good job. He's released the Kennedy files, the Kennedy assassination. He did great on that. I wish he would release more on the Murr building that was blown up. There's a lot of things that this president has done, but these Epstein records, this is very, very, very bad. Unsealing grand jury records, the Justice Department and the FBI requested that the judge unseal the grand jury records related to the case. However, former prosecutors believe that these records are unlikely to provide much new information or satisfy the public's curiosity. That's right. You just can't satiate our curiosity, our need to know. we want dirty laundry. What can I tell you? The decision to unseal the records is still pending. So that's still pending. Maybe we'll see what happens. Epstein's Palm Beach house. This is his house in Palm Beach. The Palm Beach house, owned by Epstein, dubbed the House of Horrors by some, has been demolished, and a new custom home is nearing completion on the property. The property was sold for $26 million in 2021, and so that's what's happening with the update on Ghislaine Maxwell. So there you go, Ghislaine Maxwell. What a name, what a name, what a lady. And I know there's more to the story. She just hasn't given up enough, you know what I mean? And now they're moving her to a nice, comfortable prison. I'm telling you, there's something going on. But to go back to Charlemagne the God, if he really thinks that this is going to break up MAGA, no. This isn't going to break up MAGA. And I want to go back to another reason why I certainly believe that this is not going to do anything to harm MAGA, because the president is doing so much. He's doing so many good things. Let's see if I can share this screen with you. This is from my website. Here it is. Let me see if you guys are getting it right there. Let's add that to stage. There we go. Can you see that? That's the seal for the Environmental Protection Agency, an agency that's been a thorn in the side of many, many industries here in America. The Environmental Protection Agency is one of the worst agencies to ever be created. This was created within my lifetime, and it's an agency that I believe can go by the wayside. I think I would do to this what they should do to the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, and many other departments in the cabinet of the halls of bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. But the EPA released its proposal to rescind Obama-era endangerment finding regulations that paved the way for electric vehicle mandates. And why is this important, and what does this have to do with Charlemagne the God? Well, Charlemagne the God, who I wouldn't take any political advice to save my life. Charlemagne the God was worried about these Epstein files breaking up MAGA, and the conservative branch of MAGA was going to come back and take over the party. You know, the Liz Cheneys, the Romneys of the party. Not true. Not going to happen. And so this is the reason right here that MAGA is never going to leave Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I'm pissed off at him about the Epstein files, but then Donald Trump, his EPA office, the leader of EPA, Zeldin, I think it's Lee Zeldin. We'll find out here in a minute. He's doing good work here, and he's destroyed a huge swath of the Green New Deal. And I'm going to read this proposal here. And by the way, you can find this on my website. Really cool website. You got to go, robtaylorreport.com. You can find a lot of articles on that website, and this is just one of them. I put this out last week. I put it out on the 29th of July here. And it says, if finalized, this proposal would undo the underpinning of $1 trillion in costly regulations, save more than $54 billion annually. And that's just the start. That's just the start. Here it is. Here's a picture of Lee Zeldin. This is in Indianapolis. Says, at an auto dealership in Indiana, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin released the agency's proposal to rescind the 2009 endangerment finding, which has been used to justify over $1 trillion in regulations, including the Biden-Harris administration's electric vehicle mandate, which was horrible. It was going to destroy the auto industry. Clearly destroy it. I mean, people don't want these electric vehicles. I don't want one. So we don't want this crap pushed on it. This is America. We want choices. But I continue, it says, if finalized, the proposal would repeal all resulting greenhouse gas emissions regulations for motor vehicles and engines, thereby reinstating consumer choice and giving Americans the ability to purchase a safe and affordable car for their family while decreasing the cost of living on all products that trucks deliver. Administrator Zeldin was joined by U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright, Indiana Governor Mike Braun, and Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, U.S. Representative Jim Bard, and Indiana Secretary of Energy and Natural Resources Susanna Jerwoski, and the Indiana Motor Truck Association, as well as they should be. This right here is going to cause a huge ripple in the economy. This is what creates a dynamic economy. When you lift these regulations and you take the government, the bureaucratic foot off the neck of the economy, off the free market, you are allowing that engine to roar. You are allowing it to come back, and it's going to come back with a huge reward for all of us, because those electric vehicles, it was a bad idea. And I'm going to get into this a little bit further, but I want to continue reading this because this was a really good release. This was a proposal. And like I said, you can find this at robtaylorreport.com, among other things. But it says, since the 2009 endangerment finding was issued, many have stated that the American people in auto manufacturing have suffered from significant uncertainties and massive costs related to general regulations of greenhouse gases from vehicles and trucks. Finally, EPA is proposing to provide much needed certainty and regulatory relief so companies can plan appropriately and the American people can afford affordable choices when deciding to buy a car. The important thing here is that they're giving back the auto industry's ability to have certainty in the market. This is very important. If you ran a business or you were deciding on creating a business, say it's like my family's business, it's the coffee industry, and you want to open up a coffee shop, but you just find out that there's all the coffee. We just had a huge, horrible drought in several of the coffee countries, and coffee is not going to be plenishable. And you don't know if that's going to be coming back at any point in time and soon. So are you going to continue that? Well, it's the same with regulations. Regulations put on industry steals that industry of certainty. Now, there is no certainty in life. I shouldn't say that, because certainty, but I mean, from this type of certainty is that they know that there is no government bureaucrat who's going to come into their business and find their business or penalize their business for some crazy practice. And they know that no one else is going to create rules that are going to put or impose more of these regulations on them. This is great. This is good stuff. And I continue reading here. It says, with this proposal, the Trump EPA is proposing to end 16 years of uncertainty for automakers and American consumers, said EPA Administrator Zeldin. In our work so far, many stakeholders have told me that the Obama and Biden EPAs twisted the law, ignored precedent, and warped science to achieve their preferred ends and stick American families with hundreds of billions of dollars in hidden taxes every single year, something we've been complaining about for a long time. He says, we heard loud and clear the concern that EPA's GHG emission standards themselves, not carbon dioxide, which the finding never assessed independently, was the real threat to Americans' livelihood. It finalized rescinding the endangerment finding, and resulting regulations would end $1 trillion or more in hidden taxes on American businesses and families. This is just absolutely incredible. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, America is returning to free and open dialogue around the climate and energy policies, driving the focus back to following the data, said U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. Today's announcement is a monumental step toward returning to common sense policies that expand access to affordable, reliable, secure energy and improve quality of life for Americans, because that's really what it's about. That's really what it's about, is the quality of life for Americans. And it goes on to have all these quotes from all these other people. And the endangerment finding is the legal prerequisite used by the Obama and Biden administration to regulate emissions from new motor vehicles to new motor vehicle engines. Absent this finding, EPA would lack statutory authority under Section 202A of the Clean Air Act to prescribe standards for greenhouse gas emissions. This proposal is finalized, if finalized, is expected to save Americans $54 billion in costs annually through the repeal of the greenhouse gas standards, including the Biden EPA electric vehicle mandate under conservative economic forecast. And this is incredibly good stuff for us. And once again, in your face, Charlemagne the God. If you think MAGA is going to leave Donald Trump and the conservatives are going to come back to the Republican Party because of the Epstein files not being released, I think you got another thing coming. I think that this right here, him taking the bureaucratic foot off the throat of the market is, well, I'll take that over the release of the Epstein files, because we may still get those. We may still get those. But the thing is that, and I got to share this with you. I was going to go ahead and talk more about this, but I saw a post that someone had sent me a link to, and thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. And I thought I would go over this because this guy, he made some really salient points that if you didn't understand what I just read, this will help you out. This was a post from Rod D. Martin. He is on X, formerly known as Twitter. And he says, Trump just went nuclear. He's all nuclear on the Green New Deal. That's right. Trump just went nuclear on the Green New Deal. That's right. That's right. I said it. And Rod D. Martin wrote it right here because he did that. And it's funny. I sent that out as well. I didn't use the word nuclear. I sent it out. He just took an axe to the Green New Deal. And it's true. I don't think people realize what this EPA ruling is going to do if it's finalized. The EPA is moving to repeal the legal foundation of climate regulation itself. $1 trillion in green tyranny gone. Lee Zeldin calls it the largest deregulatory action in American history, and I would agree with him. I thought Trump did some good deregulatory actions during his first presidency. No, this is huge. Here's what it means. And you can find this. Go to Rod D. Martin on X. You can find this. Thank you, Rod. I appreciate this. Number 2, in 2009, Obama's EPA declared carbon dioxide a threat to public health. There are so-called endangerment findings. That opened the floodgates to 16 years of climate regulations on cars, energy, and industry. The science was vague, but the power grab wasn't. And that's because why? Because this guy right here, his name is Obama. He's a commie Obama. He wants to take away your right to own private property because that's the goal of communism. And remember, every issue is not about the issue. Every issue is about the revolution, the communist revolution. So climate change was never about the climate. That wasn't the issue. Climate change, the issue of climate change was all about the revolution, the communist revolution. The communist revolution has started going back. The underpinnings of the color revolution that's been taking place and was really on full display in 2020 with all the so-called peaceful protest, that can be tracked back to this man right here, Obama. And Obama, he is the one who was in for the power grab because he's a communist. And why? Because he wants to take away all of your property. And he wants to give it to his friends because they are so benevolent and they are so wise. People like Klaus Schwab, they are so wise. They know better than what you do for your own lives. And this guy, that's why he wanted this EPA to have all this authority. Thank you, Mr. President Trump. Thank you so much. I continue. 3, Obama's EPA made up for endangerment finding in 2009. It claimed that CO2 was a threat to human health, which is bullshit. That's bullshit. We need CO2. We are a carbon-based creature. Most creatures on the planet we're carbon-based creatures. That one finding became the legal pretext for everything. EV mandates, gas stove bans, tailpipe regulations, stupid airline rules, power plant shutdowns. Thank you, Rod D. Martin, for pointing all this out. I couldn't have done a better job. This guy on Twitter, he's doing a heck of a, I don't know who this Rod D. Martin is, but I may have to ask him to come on the show because he's exactly right. And boy, I posted this on X, and there were a bunch of libtards saying, SMH, shaking my head. It ain't going to do anything. This ain't going to mean a damn thing. Well, come to find out, they were wrong. They were wrong. And you know who knew was Rod D. Martin. He's right. This is going to destroy all of these regulations on all of these industries, the gas stove industry, the tailpipe regulations, the stupid airline rules. Yep. The power plant shutdown, all of it, all of these regulations. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yep. And so, yeah, he got it right. Let's continue. I think he made a couple of posts here. Rod D. Martin, he says, on 7/29, Trump's EPA head, Lee Zeldin, a great guy, moved to repeal it. It was built on fear, not fact. No, it was built on corruption. I mean, they installed it because of fear, but it was built on corruption. So neither way. Tomato, tomato. Right, Rod? Tomato, tomato. He says the finding was twisted science, legal overreach, $1 trillion tax on working Americans. And that's what it was. These mandates, these climate change, the climate change scam was a scam perpetrated on Americans, and it conveniently gave Democrats control over half the economy. And once again, it was never the climate change issue. The issue is never about the issue with these damn leftists. The issue is always about what? What is it about, kids? That's right, the revolution. And this guy right here, Lee Zeldin, well, he was able to help take that crap out of there. So let me continue. What else? What else did Rod have to say about this? He says Zeldin's move would kill off $1 trillion in regulations. These regs punish car makers, power plants, heavy industry, working Americans. That's probably most of you who are watching this podcast. You're probably some of those working Americans. Under Zeldin, climate mandates are gone. EV coercion ended. Power returned to states and citizens. A huge blow to the globalist ESG. Yep, the ESG. You're not going to have to be labeled with that scale. That's right. You're not green enough. You're not green enough on the outside, red enough on the inside, so you get a low ESG score. Well, don't worry about that. We're not gonna judge people with their ESG score. We're getting rid of that. And Lee Zeldin, he did it thanks to Donald Trump appointing Lee Zeldin, the right guy for the job, the EPA. You know, Trump he screwed up that first term when he appointed a lot of people into positions who aren't willing to do the job they needed to do. And now he's really taken an axe to the deep state. And this is good stuff. Oh, look, yeah, look at it. I bet you AOC and Bernie there. Bernie's probably rolling over in his grave, and I don't even think he's dead yet. But AOC, you know, she's, smartest bartender you'll meet. What can I tell you? Just ask her. She's the smartest bartender you'll meet. Well, wait, isn't David Brock Smith a bartender? Yeah, just ask him. He probably thinks he's the smartest bartender you'll ever meet. But let's continue. Let's see down here. He's number 6. Let's be clear. CO2 is not a pollutant. Let's say that again. To be clear, CO2 is not a pollutant. Rod D. Martin, you get an A+ today. It's plant food. That's right. It's plant food, but the EPA lumped it in with methane, nitrous oxide, etc., then claimed it contributes to climate change. How much? They never said, but that was enough to start regulating everything. Their real aim all along is CO2 plant food. Here's what happens with more CO2. Just an example of what CO2 does. Yeah, you ask the pot farmers, even the pot farmers will tell you, the indoor grows, sometimes they would induce CO2 into their grow rooms to encourage growth. Yeah, that happened. Let's see, number 7, Zeldin. There are people who, in the name of climate change, are willing to bankrupt the country. That's not hyperbole. The endangerment finding let unelected deep staters wage war on energy, agriculture, and transportation without ever passing a law. And that's what they did. And then you combine this with the Supreme Court's ruling just last year on administrative law judges. We are taking back our country from the deep state, and this is how we're doing it. And you probably didn't hear much about this in the news. How about number 8 here? Zeldin's repeal. Let me make sure I'm still sharing this. Yeah. Okay. So Zeldin's repeal follows his June rollback of Biden's fake clean power plan. No more 1 billion year mandates on natural gas plants that were nonsense. No forced 90% carbon capture by 2039, which is nonsense. No more Obama Biden energy sabotage. This is real deregulation. Isn't this great? Yeah. There's the old man, still looking for those ghosts. And number 9, Zeldin gets it. It was never about climate. That's just the hustle. It was always about extending federal control over things for which it has no legal basis, a power grab. It also lined the pockets of leftists, alternative energy investors. How convenient, people like Al Gore here. You know, he invented the internet. Yep, he did that. And look at all that he owns. Yes, he owns quite a bit. That one property right there, I could fit my house into about that little section of this property right there. And he wants me to cut back on my carbon footprint. Yeah, I'd like to shove my carbon footprint right up Al Gore's, you know what. And so Rod D. Martin, number 10, bottom line, the climate bureaucrats lied. We knew they were lying, just like the COVID experts, right? The regulations crippled America. Zeldin is repealing the foundation of it all. Trump is leading the charge. It's time to end the Green New scam and return science, sanity, and sovereignty back to the people of the United States. Thank you, Lee Zeldin and President Donald Trump. And why is this important? Well, I'll tell you why it's important. Because there are people out there who are getting their political advice from people like Charlemagne de God. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, the MAGAs, they're over. They're over. That president, damn that President Trump, he's not going to release those Epstein files. So all of us MAGA people, we're just going to run to the hills because we're mad now. We're mad. No, I'll tell you what, Lee Zeldin, after what he did and the Trump administration doing that, taking a huge chainsaw to the Green New Deal, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful, beautiful thing to do, but it doesn't end there. Let's see if I can continue on. Let me see if I can go back. A little bit here on my website. Yeah, I think I can. So on top of all of this, you're going to love this. Let me make sure I'm sharing it here. Okay, there it is. You can find this also on my webpage at robtaylorreport.com. And this right here, this is from BOEM, which I'm not even sure why we have the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. I'm not even sure why this even exists, but BOEM rescinds designated wind energy areas on the outer continental shelf. That's right. And so tomorrow I'm going to be doing an interview with Jerry Miller, who is part of the Maine fishery. And we're going to be talking about the project that's still going on in Maine, because unfortunately, the Trump can stop the what's going on for areas, wind energy areas, where there are no leases. But once the leases were sent out, well, that's a contractual agreement and they can't do anything else. They're stuck with the contractual agreement. And that's going to cause problems going down the road for the Maine fishing industry. And so I've got a gentleman who's going to be coming on tomorrow. I'm going to be talking to him in an interview. His name is Jerry Lehman, and he's the the president of the main fishing industry, and they're going to be going through hell because they got those contracts out. And luckily here in Oregon, they heard us here in Oregon. And I want to read some of this. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, BOEM, today announced it is rescinding all designated wind energy areas on the U.S. outer continental shelf. This action is being taken in accordance with Secretary's Order 3437, ending preferential treatment for unreliable foreign controlled energy sources in department decision making, and the presidential memorandum on January 20th, 2025, temporary withdrawal of all areas on the OCS from offshore wind leasing and review of the federal government's leasing and permitting practices for wind projects. In other words, wind projects blow and we ain't going to take it no more. So WEAs were originally established to identify offshore locations deemed most suitable for wind energy development. By rescinding the WEAs, BOEM is ending the federal practice of designating large areas of the OCS for speculative wind development and is de-designating over 3.5 million acres of unleased federal waters previously targeted for offshore wind development across the Gulf of America, Gulf of Maine, and New York Bight. California, Oregon, and Central Atlantic. I love that. The Gulf of America. It just rolled off my tongue like I knew what I was talking about. But this is from BOEM, the Department of Interior's Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. I'm not sure even why we have the energy, but once again, this just goes to show you that no, Charlemagne, God, we're not going to be getting rid of the Republican Party. MAGA's still behind Trump 100%. And as long as he's doing stuff like this and he's still deporting all of those illegal criminals who are invading our country, we love this president. We don't have a problem with him. If it's a problem, it's your problem. So that's just some of the national news that I thought I would cover because it did affect us here in Oregon. I mean, those EVs were going to be shoved down our throat here in the state of Oregon. Hopefully we can stop that. Hopefully we can stop all of the BS that they're doing. You know, I don't even know if they're still going to do those wind turbine meetings. I know that one of the agencies, Department of Conservation and Land Development, I think it was, don't take me on it. There's so many different bureaucracies in the Oregon government, but they were still having wind turbine meetings. And I don't want to be forced to have to go to these meetings. And you're literally forced because if you don't show up, then they can say there was no opposition. So we have to show up. It's disgusting. And hopefully all of that has been taken care of. All of that has been, it's gone. We don't have to worry about it. But what's happening locally, there is a lot of stuff that is happening locally. And I wanted to talk about that because let's see if I can get it up here on the board. Jeez. Here we go. So I was talking about the petitions, and I'm going to share this tab here. Let me see if I got it shared. And there you are. The gentleman who is running the recall, Tina Kotek, of course, he's running in problems with the Secretary of State. This is from the Grants Pass Tribune. Actually, this is I believe the Grants Pass Tribune is a good Republican paper. I think out of the Grants Pass, this is probably a good one. But Minix accuses Secretary of State of stalling Governor Kotek recall effort. William Minix, the man preparing to launch a statewide recall campaign against Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, is publicly accusing the Oregon Secretary of State's election division. Let me see. I can make this bigger. My mom might be watching, so let's get this big enough so she can read. There we go. He says the agency's delay in approving his recall petition is not only unfair, but unconstitutional. Minix claims he has met all legal and procedural requirements to initiate the recall, but as of August 1st, the Secretary of State's office has yet to authorize him to begin collecting signatures, a step that is critical to meeting the strict 90-day deadline requiring by law. Now, I know that has such changed. I do believe she has gotten that approval, but it's always funny how we get these delays for any of our petitions. It seems like, and when I say ours, anything that goes against the Democrat or the Democrat machine, they do have a machine. They've got the governor's office, they got the attorney general's office, they got the secretary of state's office, they got all the statewide offices. In fact, the only one holding a statewide office that's a Republican is a judge, and his name is Egan, and he ruled against us on, I believe it was Measure 114, and he ruled against our Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance law for Columbia County, calling us a bunch of white supremacist racists for wanting to defend our Second Amendment. Well, he's an actual statewide registered Republican. And so this is part of the reason why we're trying to end vote by mail. But it's funny how it always happens to our side. Isn't that just strange? It's never the other side that seems to get zapped with these delays. And so hopefully Minix will be out there. I'm going to be out. I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to be out 9:00 at the Coos Bay Farmers Market right in downtown Coos Bay. I'm not sure where we're going to be, but we're going to be somewhere in that area. So look for us. You'll probably be able to see our signs. We are going to be doing a lot of petitioning. We're going to be promoting the hell out of it. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. End VBM. That's the end vote by mail. I want to share that here. And that's a stage. And if you want to find out more, let's say you don't know where to go to sign sign the sheets, or you want to get a signature sheet, well, you can go to the website here and you can do all of that. They've got a single signature sheet that you can download. You got to print it out, got to sign it, and then you got to send that sucker back in. It's all pretty easy. Wow, I actually got a comment here. Samantha Frost says, you learned that having carbon is good for plants and our environment in second grade science class. A lot of leftists, including Tampon Dave, must not have passed the second grade. Yeah, well, very true, Samantha. Very, very true. But I continue with end vote by mail. So we did an incredible job at the county fair. We got a lot of signatures, but we need a lot more. If you can help us out, we'd really appreciate it. If you have a business or that you want to allow these petitions at, remember you have to witness every signature that goes on your petition sheet. It's really easy, folks. Anyone can be a circulator. It doesn't take a lot of brain cells to do this. It just takes a lot of work, because it's not easy going up to people and asking them, hey, would you like to put your signature, print your name, the date, and your address? Would you mind doing that for me? I mean, most people look at you like you're crazy, but for this case, it's a good issue. It's end vote by mail. Now, is this going to fix or alleviate the problem we have here in Oregon? I would say no, it's not going to alleviate our problems with the voter rolls. The voter rolls are dirty. So end vote by mail is just one step. We got to end vote by mail. We got to go back to hand counting of the ballots, and then we got to go back and clean out the voter rolls. Judicial Watch is suing the state of Oregon. Hopefully, President Trump will help, and maybe the feds will help by passing laws through Congress that will force the state to have to comply with clean voter rolls. It shouldn't be that much to ask. That's all we're demanding, is that you make sure that the people who are listed are actually legal, have the illegal authority to vote here. So end vote by mail, if it passes, I would love to see it pass, is not going to solve the problem, but it will get us closer in the room, right? That's where we want, and we want to get closer to the target. So you end vote by mail, and then you have in-day show ID, in-person, hand count the ballots. You get that going, and then you have the voter rolls cleaned by the state and the county clerks by each county respectively. They're the ones who should be cleaning the voter rolls for their own counties and making sure that that process is continuing. It's not happening here in Oregon. So this is just one of the steps that we're going to try to take. We hope it passes. We hope we can get it on the ballot, but we're not going to be able to do that unless you can participate and get on this website, NVBM. Just go to NVBM and download the sheet. It's nvbm.com. It's a really good place to find out where we're at, what's going on. And I'm sure Michaela and Ben Edel, I'm sure they're going to make sure that that's all updated. Let's see, tolls are voting before tolls. Yeah, there we go. Vote before tolls. Let's see, I'm trying to put this up on the website. Let me see here. There we go. That's that website. This is the other petition that we're doing, and I need people to help out with all these petitions. But if you can't get out there to sign one, you're not sure, and you want to find out more, this is the website to help us end the tolls, because they took away our authority, folks. They took away our authority to decide whether we should put tolls on roads, existing roads. These aren't even new roads. At least in Texas, they built new lanes to put tolls on. I believe it was a private company that built those lanes. And let me tell you, those lanes are really nice in Texas. No traffic whatsoever. You're just flying down those lanes, but you get a toll bill sent to you. I like I said, I did this in Texas. I was in Fort Worth, Dallas, and I got a couple bills for driving on the nice roads. They were nice roads, but they're not even going to do that for us here in Oregon. No, they're going to toll us for the roads that already exist. Talk about a bunch of skeevy bastards. How skeevy can you be? You make us pay for the roads. We pay for the roads through our gas tax and other taxing sources. And we continue to pay for the roads after we paid to have them constructed. Then we paid to have them maintained. We continue paying, and then you want to make us pay to drive on the roads, and cars that we have to pay fees just to register. You have to pay fees to get the license to drive the car that you had to pay to get registered. The money that you made to pay for all of that was taxed, because we tax our income here. Damn, man. Are you people done yet? So I don't know. I'm tired of all of these taxes, and tolls is just another tax. Anytime you have to pay a fee, a toll, a tax, it's all taxes if it has to go to the government for some service. And this is just ridiculous. This isn't even going to the government for a service, because we've already paid for that service. We already paid for the product. We already paid for the damn highways. So it's just frustrating that they're doing this. Oregon Outlaw, he says, we need some petitions, and we got the flyers out for the Mark Cook presentation at the Coquille Community Center. Well, don't worry, Tom. We'll get those petitions to you Wednesday. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll make a bunch of copies of them, and we'll get those petitions to you, because, you're Tom and Nancy are one of the few people out there busting their butt to get these signatures. So if you can help us out, we need all the help we can get. Let's see if I have it. Let me add this to stage. And Wednesday at 6:00 at the Coquille Community Center. That's 115. Let me enlarge that. 115 North Birch Street, the Coquille Community Center. If you got your screen right there, you can read the little cubicle there. What's that called? The Q code. Yes, the Q code. So you know you're old. You know you're old when you don't know what the name of those damn symbols are. It's a Q code. That's what the kids are calling it, a Q code. But Mark Cook is coming into Coquille. This is really cool. He's the nationally known cybersecurity and forensic elections expert. This guy is an expert in this, and he will be here in person. He'll tell us how easy it is to do hand counting, or at least return to hand. That's really the story. People go, oh, well, we can't do We can't do hand counting. Well, you know what? Actually, we can because we used to do hand counting. I don't know how many people came up and said, well, we can't do that. We can't go back to hand counting. There's just too many more people today. And I explained to them, well, in most places, actually, there aren't more people, especially out here in rural Oregon. Bandon hasn't grown that much. I mean, we may have had 3,200 people 50 years ago. Now we have 3,250. I mean, really, the town really hasn't grown that much. So people who think that just because, we used to do it 30, 40, 50 years ago, we can't do it now. We just not educated enough. We ain't got the education to be counting ballots. But that's not true. We can do this. And this gentleman right here, Mark Cook, if you're interested, show up at the Coquille Community Center at 6 p.m. August 6th. That's this Wednesday. And they're going to give you a demonstration of how you can do, or how the clerk can do hand counting. And we're going to return to, this is just another flyer or meme for the same event. Not politicians, not government, not corporations, not the media rights. Yes. And this is a subject matter expert, Mark Cook, who's coming here. And next month, and I'm promoting the hell out of this because Trevor Loudon, Dr. Douglas Frank have both been guests on my shows. They're superb guests. They do a great job when they come on the show to talk about all the different things that they are dealing with. For Frank, it's election integrity. For Trevor, it's geopolitics. And he's got a book coming out about Oregon and the Oregon legislature. He's going to be talking about those politicians in the Oregon legislature who are potentially corrupted, have been, they're under the thumb of China. They're conspiring with China. They've been corrupted by China. Yeah, we're going to see that. That's going to come out here soon. Hopefully he's going to drop that. He'll probably I'm hoping he's going to have that for this event. But the Gathering of Eagles event, this is happening on September 6th, 2025, is a really great place to be on that day because you'll get to meet all these people here. And Natalie Winters, I believe that's Bannon's daughter, Steve Bannon's daughter. That ought to be cool. I'm definitely going to be going out for this event. That's definitely one that I'm going to be heading to. And I hope all of you head out there as well. That's the Gathering of Eagles. Oh, let's see. That's pretty much, like I said, other than 9 o'clock at the farmer's market, 9 o'clock in the morning, you can sign the no tools ballot. That's right. We don't want any tools. Are you a tool? You look like a tool. David Brocksmith, you're a definite tool. We don't want no tools. No, the no tolls. Yeah, it was either tolls or trolls or tools. Trolls was another one. I kept saying, oh, you got to sign our no trolls ballot because we don't want any trolls. We're having too many trolls under the bridges. It's a problem. That Billy Goat Gruff. That's it. Billy Goat Gruff. We don't want any trolls on our road. But yeah, we'll have the Wednesday 9 a.m. No tolls petition and the end vote by mail petition. We'll have them at the Coos Bay Farmers Market. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in for Friday night. We're going to be live again. And I do have to announce that I'm probably not going to be doing Mondays live all the time. I've got a lot of videos that I've been putting aside, but I'm going to be putting those together, editing them, and I'm just going to be putting videos out, and I may not show up every Monday. So Mondays are kind of going to be iffy from here on out. It's just so hard to get guests to be on at 3 o'clock here on Mondays. 3 o'clock, if I get a guest on the East Coast here for 3 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock there. It's dinner time. And if I get them in the morning, like 8, 9 in the morning, well, then, that's like 5. If I have to get a interview at 8 or 9 in the morning, that's like 5 or 6 in the morning here. So then I have to get up way, way early, or they're staying up way, way late. So it's just easier that I do a recording of these interviews that I've been getting, and I'll just put them out as I get them done. And so you may not see me live every Monday, but you'll definitely see us live on Fridays, because you just can't do the Friday night rant unless you're doing it live streaming. And we're going to have there are a lot of people now who are asking to get on to the Friday night rant, because it's just turned into such a fun thing. We get all our friends here. We get a little bit of drinking and swearing, and we start talking about the issues. And I think you get a more real perspective of what people think when they're in more of a comfortable atmosphere. It's almost like sitting around the bar with friends. But yeah, we'll be doing more of the Friday night rant. That's going to continue to be live. And but the Monday show, I don't know. I'm just having problems getting people here to do the interviews live on Mondays. It was so much easier on the radio. I don't know why. It just seems harder to schedule that for the podcast for some strange reason. Let's see. I might as well go ahead and start my commercials for my wonderful sponsors, because we promote these businesses. Why? Because they're really good at what they do. And the people who own these businesses are conservatives like you. They want limited government. They want low taxes. And don't you want someone coming over to your house to cut down your trees to be someone who's like-minded? Well, that's the people at 3H Tree Service. Matt Holman, that is, he's one of the owners of 3H Tree Service. He's on vacation right now. He's in Texas. Yep, he's in Texas having a really good time. So there was no "Where's 3H Tree Service" today. Nope, we weren't playing that today, but we usually play that on Monday. We play a round of "Where's 3H Tree Service," where anyone in Coos County can go find "Where's 3H Tree Service" on location. And if you find them, you can win the prize of the day. Well, they're not playing that today. That's okay. Matt needs a vacation because he does a lot of work, because they're good. They're really good at their job. So a lot of people need their service. And if you need their service, you can call them at 541-294-1800 and be sure to play "Where's 3H Tree Service." There are a lot of winners out there from 3H Tree Service. Here's Matt Holman with our buddy Jody Hoffman. And there's Matt with Nancy Brown. Of course. Let me see. I think I even have a video of 3H Tree Service. Right, that was 3H Tree Service. And I forgot to tell everyone, this is really cool. Let me see if I can share this screen. I was telling you about all the stuff that Trump's been doing. Don't worry about what Charlemagne the God says. MAGA's not going anywhere. So screw you, Charlemagne. Yeah. But let me see if I can get this screen share going. This is very important. And once again, this is due to the Trump administration and their ability to cut through the regulatory nonsense that has been killing states like ours. The BLM, this is great that the BLM timber sales in Oregon brings in nearly 13.5 million. This helps several different counties. BLM Oregon's July timber sales brought in nearly 13.5 million, supporting jobs, local economies, and sustainable forest management. July Bureau of Land Management timber sales. Oh, I just read that. A BLM release said the agency sold 47.7 million board feet of timber across 1,673 public acres for over 13.49 million in revenue. These timber sales will feed local mills and are enough timber to build roughly 3,000 homes. Yeah, that's see you got a housing shortage. Well, cut down some damn trees. That's what you do. Timber from BLM managed forest is fueling jobs, industry, and economic growth across Western Oregon. Acting BLM director Bill Jeffrey Gruffy said, "These sales reflect our commitment to manage public lands in a way that strengthens rural communities, supports working forests, and ensures the responsible use of America's natural resources." The release said the timber sales align with the Trump administration's emphasis on maximizing the use of domestic resources, supporting rural economies, and promoting American energy and materials independence. That's a good thing, right, folks? By accelerating active forest management and increasing access to public lands for responsible resource development, the BLM is helping meet national goals for job creation, reduced regulatory burdens, and stronger supply chains for critical industries like home building and timber production. That's all good and well. And let's see, I think it gives Roseburg District offered 2 sales near Oakland. The mean mustard timber sale was 2.2 million board feet in 132 public acres. It was sold to Diamond J Timber Services of Drain for $333,176. The Sternbreaker timber sale was 6.9 million board feet in 247 public acres. Sales also took place in Northwest Oregon District, the Medford District, and of course, the Coos Bay District. That would be us right here, folks. So once again, Charlemagne de God, I can tell you right now, the Epstein files not being released, yeah, we're a little upset. But is it going to be a problem? I just don't think so. Nope. So I got another comment. Oregon Outlaw says, BLM is very evil corporation, R.I.P. Lavoie. And so that was what I was going to say, Oregon Outlaw, that's nice and well that BLM is cutting some of the trees on the land that's within our county. But to be quite honest with you, I just wish BLM would be dissolved. The whole entire agency would be dissolved and all of the land go back to the counties that land is within right now, respectively. All the counties should get back. I believe that would be the ONC lands. I'm not sure. Is the Wagon Road lands, is that a BLM managed land? I think that is a BLM. So the Wagon Train or the Wagon Road lands, the Coos Bay Wagon Road lands, and the ONC lands, 2 different distinct tracts of land, should be returned back to the county. And the county should be able to manage that on their own. And could you imagine how rich Douglas and Coos counties would be if we were allowed to cut and manage that land? We would have a lot of money. And then maybe we could sell some of it. Maybe if there weren't any restrictions on when they give it back to the county, if they gave it back to the county, maybe they could sell some of it for housing, for development. I drive quite a bit between Bandon here and Coos Bay, and there's a lot of land out there. There's a land spreading out far and wide, and a good portion of it, probably about most of it out here on this part of the country, is owned by the federal government. And that's something, we're going to be talking about a little bit later. I'm looking into what's going on with the Bandon Marsh because, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which is even worse than the Bureau of Land Management, both the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service are under the umbrella of the Department of Interior. We should get rid of both of those agencies. In fact, we should get rid of the Department of Interior. Just get rid of it. I think we could survive without it. We survived without it before. Why can't we survive without it now? So I don't know. I would just get rid of these agencies and then just get rid of the whole Department of Interior. That's just me. I think all that land should go back to the counties respectively or back on the market. Just put it back on the market. That's just where I'm at with that. So yeah, I agree with you. BLM is a very evil agency. So is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And They had just put up those new signs for the Bandon Marsh. So when you come across Bullard's Bridge and you're heading south and you look to the right as you're coming over the bridge and you see that big blue sign, and I think they got a spotted owl on the sign. I think they got I'm surprised there's no bullet holes in that sign yet, but yeah, it's they accused me and Don Chance of damaging or vandalizing that sign once. And we told them, look, pal, we don't vandalize private property. And if we were to do that type of civil disobedience, we would have filmed it and put it out there ourselves so everyone knows who did it. So, screw you, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. This was over 15 years ago, too. 15 years ago, we were fighting against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Now we're fighting against BOEM and those wind turbines. And thanks to the president, we don't have to worry about that so much. So Oregon Outlaw says, if you put it on the market, our dumb governor would probably sell it to China. So maybe when they give it back to the county and tell the county to put it back in the market, they could make rules like we just aren't going to sell it to China. Yeah, I know David Brock Smith will be out here with all his China buddies. But that's, and of course, the reason I was talking about that goes back to 3H Tree Service, because those guys, they used to be loggers and they're not loggers anymore because it's so much more profitable to be just in the tree service where they're taking care of private property and not actually out there logging big swaths of land. And so 3H Tree Service, if you want to get rid of those trees because they're a liability, these are the people you need to call, 541-294-1800. And you can find out more on their Facebook page of the same name. Good group of people. Good group of people. And let's see, Samantha says something here. She says, the corruption has to go before a bunch of land is handed to the tyrants in our state or our county. They would just sell it to their friends as usual. Yeah, that is the problem. So, they could just have the federal government sell it without it going to the county. But yeah, that's a problem in Douglas County. You got some screwed up representatives up there. In fact, let me see if I can find this. So I did an article about the corruption from David Brock Smith, talking about how he has now hijacked the Coos County Party because we couldn't get any of our PCPs appointed. I mean, going back as far as I can remember, and that's going back to probably 2004, 2006, 20 years, more than 20 years going back. The Republican Party here in Oregon has always accepted PCPs at their member. All you have to do is be a registered Republican, show up at a meeting, and you want to be a precinct committee person, they will appoint you as a PCP. It's been that way for every chair that's been there for all the years of all the meetings I've gone to. We've always had it that way. Well, we got a new chair, Michael Brainerd, who is acting as proxy for David Brock Smith. I don't know what power David Brock Smith wields over Michael Brainerd, but Michael Brainerd seems to be doing his bidding because he has now stopped that decades-long procedure of accepting PCPs at every meeting, and they denied our PCPs from being appointed at the last meeting. And of course, it erupted into a yelling match. Why not? I mean, if you're going to break the rules, we're going to shout over you. And so that happened at the last meeting. And, let me see if I can get the article up here, and you can go read this article. It's on my website. I've been putting it out there, and it tells the story of what happened in the Republican Party. Let's see. Let me put this up there. Okay, so here's the article that I wrote and about Senator Smith and how he has hijacked the party. There he is. And you please go and read the whole article. It has all of the receipts, folks. All my claims I've always documented. Everything I've ever said against David Brock Smith, I have documented. And it's once again documented right here for you to read. Well, David Brock Smith, not only has he hijacked our party, but he's part of the good old boys in Douglas County, and he has really hijacked their party as well. So much so, after I posted that article, this gentleman who was a candidate back last year, his name is Glenn Gaither. He was a state rep and he was running against Cyrus Javadi. He made this post. He shared that article from Facebook. That he shared that article, and then he wrote this on top of it. He says, "When Smith," and he's talking about David Brock Smith, Senator David Brock Smith. He said, "When Smith found out I was running against Cyrus Javadi, he became irate. I told him how Javadi was leaning left and hurting the citizens he was supposed to serve, betraying the platform. Smith's response, I don't care. I need him for the way he votes. Rumors are that Smith makes money off his position in the Senate. I've seen corruption in the ORP that shocked me, moving someone into positions of power when they knew that individual had a tendency to commit financial crimes. The grassroots are being shunned and pushed out by the gatekeepers who want to keep things as they are. We will only sink deeper into tyranny in Oregon with leadership like that. Freedom is a noble goal. It cannot thrive under corruption." And I'm going to try to get Gaither on the show, Glenn Gaither, because I've never met him. And obviously, he's experienced some of the same things that I have with this senator. He's a corrupt bastard. What can I tell you? And we're going to do everything we can to primary Senator David Brock Smith. I honestly believe that he may not even last through his term. I have seen some things behind the scenes and heard some things that are very disturbing about Senator Smith. And so I'm not sure if he'll even last his term, but if he does, we will be there to primary him. And so that was just an article. Once again, you can find on my website at robtaylorreport.com. Okay. So I thought I'd share that with you because I just thought a person I've never met before, and that's the experience he had with the same senator I've been complaining about. Starts to add up when you see all these people involved, doesn't it? Let's see. Tom and Gigs. Tim and Shanna, the owners of Tom and Gigs, they do a hell of a job at taking care of your car needs. And if you do have some car needs, they can take care of your alignment, your shocks, your struts. Maybe you need to go on a trip and you need to have to find out if your car is travel worthy. Well, you can take it to Tom and Gigs and they'll tell you for free. And once again, they can take care of a lot of different problems. If you're having problems with your vehicle, Tom and Gigs is the place to go. And you can find them at 135 South Shoneman Street in Coos Bay in the Empire neighborhood, right behind the car wash. And if you know the Empire neighborhood, you know where the car wash is, and they'll be right behind that. But they're not only great at fixing your big car, they can sell you a little car. They sell the RC remote control cars. They're one of the biggest distributors on the South Coast for RC cars. They can take care of all your RC needs. They've got all the products, all the accessories to your RC cars, and beautiful stuff there. They also have planes if you need a plane. They've got a Herocopter if you need a Herocopter. Think of the things you can do with that. And they also have Tannerite. If you have any needs, say you got those moles in your garden. I don't know. I'm not giving you any suggestions, but they do have Tannerite. And you must be 18 years of age or older to purchase Tannerite. And you'll be asked to show ID because they don't want to break the law. They're law-abiding people at Tom and Gigs. And if you are a marijuana consumer, if you partake in smoking marijuana, I always recommend Herbal Choices for your cannabis needs. They can take care of all your cannabis needs at their cannabis dispensaries, and you can find out more at the herbalchoices.com website. And remember, you must be 21 years or older to be in Herbal Choices. And they have 5 locations, one in Charleston, one in Coos Bay, one in Bandon, one in Reedsport, And of course, one in North Bend, right? Yeah, great stores for herbal choices. Oregon Firearms Federation for all, Oregon Firearms Federation, if you love your Second Amendment rights, get a hold of Oregon Firearms Federation. Go to OregonFirearms.org and find out what's going on by signing up for their newsletter and their alerts. Kevin sends out, he doesn't send them out often, but when there is something you need to know about your Second Amendment rights, he will send out that message. So OregonFirearms.org. If you got any extra money, they're going to need it because they're going to court to help fight for your Second Amendment rights. And Kevin Starrett has been doing this for over 30 years. They're the only no compromise gun group in Oregon. So I highly recommend Oregon Firearms Federation. Bandon Gun Club. If you're in Bandon, you need a place to go hone in your firing skills. Well, they can take care of that at bandongunclub.org. And if you need to sight in your rifle, your telescope, and you want to use your rifle, you can go to Taiga Sports Park at taigasportspark.org. You can find out all you need to know about Taiga Sports Park at their website. And Coos County Neighborhood Watch. This is a great Facebook page because they're always on top of everything that's going on. You want to find out what crime is being committed around Coos County, go to Coos County Neighborhood Watch on Facebook page, and they can take care of many of your problems. If you got, those porch pirates, it's really cool. You got those porch pirates. They can help you out. I've seen porch pirates actually get caught in live time because someone is watching the porch pirates as someone has just had their packages stolen, and they'll come out of their house because they just went on to Facebook. It's a Coos County Neighborhood Watch, and they saw that someone was reporting on a porch pirate right in their neighborhood, and they'll go get that sucker. I've seen it happen. It's really cool. So, if you want to find out about what the crime in Coos County Neighborhood Watch, and I'll see you guys Friday. I don't know who's going to be on. You know what? This Friday, I'm going to be streaming live from the Douglas County Fair. I know every time I do this, the sound quality sucks because I've got this damn Google phone, this Pixel 7. And the StreamYard app and a couple other apps, when you use the external mics, those little lavaliers, so that when you walk around, you can hear people talking and you're not hearing the external noises and stuff. Well, for some reason on the Pixel 7, if you set it to a wired mic and you go to the program, or the app, it will toggle back to the mic on the phone. And then that's why I'm always having all these sound problems. So they told me that there's really nothing you can do because it's something in the phone, and that I have to get another phone because the app works fine on other people's phones. So, and the mic works fine on other apps. Like I can actually use it on the video when I'm using the video on the phone. I can use the mics and they work fine. On Facebook, I can use Facebook and stream live and use the lavalier mics on my phone. It won't toggle back to the phone mic. But when I use StreamYard or Rumble for live streaming, for some reason, if I use my mics, the damn phone toggles back to the phone mic and not the external mic that I'm trying to use. And I'm sure you don't care, but the reason I'm telling you this is that if my audio sucks Friday night, I'm blaming the people of Google and their damn Pixel 7 because whatever it is that they screwed up on with that phone has caused me to either have to get a new phone or accept the fact that the audio may be, a little sucky. But we're going to do that this Friday from the Douglas County Fair. Hopefully something exciting is happening. I don't know. And I hope you join me. This should be quite interesting. I've got, like I said, a gentleman coming on to talk about the Maine fishing industries. I'm going to have Kathleen Marquette come on from America Policy Institute to talk about some of the things that is finally breaking free of climate change rules and regulations. This is part of the Trump administration and what he's done as far as deregulating a lot of this nonsense. There's more than just the EPA. There's more than him rescinding the wind energy areas off the coast. I mean, those are huge. That is just absolutely huge. I don't think people realize, and people, the left thinks we're going to get upset. Oh no, they didn't release the Epstein tapes. Well, I can live if they never release the Epstein tapes. We've been wanting the Kennedy tapes to be released, and they finally released them. And what happened? Nothing. So I can live without that. So Charlemagne the God, screw you. We're not going to go. MAGA's not going anywhere. We're going to be around for a long, long time. Oh, Z-Stan, the mega Chad Zumach fan. Do you think Trump could appoint Chad Zumach? That's a damn good question, Chad. I don't know. Maybe. Samantha says, yay, see you Friday. I'll see you Friday, Sam. It should be a blast. And until then, you know what I always say, folks? Carry on, Goose County. Carry on.